The smartest minds in history are often the unhappiest. Alan Turing cracked the enigma of the universe, decoding patterns no one else could see, yet he couldn't decode himself. The variability that illuminates reality can imprison your soul. Today, we explore the hidden intelligence, brilliance, analytical mastery. These are celebrated as gifts. But behind the accolades lies law that transforms intelligence from a cage into a liberation. In the quiet corridors of Bletchley Park during World War II, a man moved like a ghost. Alan Turing, the architect of the modern computer, spent countless nights staring at impossible patterns of code. To the world, he was a savior. To himself, he was trapped inside an unrelenting mind. He solved the unsolvable, yet happiness eluded him. He felt emotions more acutely, noticed patterns of human failure before anyone else, and carried the weight of knowing truths that society wasn't ready to see. Turing's tragedy was not lack of success. It was the burden of hyperintelligence. Every insight illuminated not just the universe, but the flaws, contradictions, and suffering of humanity. Every calculation, every deduction drew him further from ordinary joy, leaving him isolated, misunderstood, and profoundly lonely. Why does intelligence often sabotage happiness? Neuroscience tells us that highly analytical minds are constantly scanning for patterns. The prefrontal cortex, home to planning and problem solving, is overactive. Your brain doesn't rest. You notice what others ignore: social dynamics, existential risks, the fragility of life. Where most see certainty, you perceive layers of nuance, potential failure, and impermanence. Jung called this superior function, an ability that brings profound perception, but also psychic isolation. Nietzsche described it as the loneliness of the philosopher, a consciousness too refined for the masses. Schopenhauer warned that intelligence magnifies desire and suffering. The more one understands, the more one notices the world's relentless friction. Modern research validates this. Studies on highly gifted individuals show higher rates of anxiety, depression, and existential unease. The mind that can see the machine behind the curtain often cannot turn off its own analysis of the machinery. Intelligence creates a feedback loop. You analyze reality, perceive its flaws, attempt to optimize, notice more flaws, and spiral into discontent. The brain becomes both microscope and prison. This heightened perception carries costs. Socially, the intelligent are often misunderstood. Simple human behaviors appear inefficient or irrational. Small talk feels shallow. Relationships seem fraught with unspoken dynamics. Like Turing, they feel detached from ordinary pleasures, alienated by the mind's incessant calculations. Emotionally, this leads to shadow projection. Just as Jung observed, those who see truths, others cannot often become mirrors for society's discomfort. People around you unconsciously reject your awareness, labeling your insight as arrogance or negativity. Intelligence isolates. Philosophically, awareness of mortality, impermanence, and human suffering intensifies. Nietzsche wrote of the burden of consciousness. The heavier the mind, the deeper the suffering. When every decision is scrutinized, every pattern analyzed, the mind never rests. You become a prisoner of your own clarity. Psychologically, overthinking fosters decision paralysis, emotional exhaustion, and subtle self-sabotage. Turing's life demonstrates this. The genius, who could outthink enemies, could not outthink his inner despair. But there is a law, subtle yet transformative. It is the shift the 1% make. Intelligence alone never frees you. Awareness does. Naval Ravikant captures this beautifully. The mind is a tool, not you. You are the awareness that uses it. Intelligence is the instrument. Consciousness is the conductor. The 1% recognize that happiness does not emerge from perpetual analysis, but from observing the mind without attachment. This is the law of awareness. 1. Observe your thoughts and insights without identifying with them. 2. Recognize patterns and truths, but do not let them dictate emotional reality. 3. Detach from the compulsive need to solve every problem internally. Turing never had this integration. He identified entirely with his intelligence, and the world's cruelty intensified his suffering. By contrast, individuals who blend analytical brilliance with conscious awareness navigate life with clarity and peace, seeing deeply without being destroyed. Neuroscience supports this. Mindfulness and metacognition, the ability to observe thought without attachment, reduce activity in the default mode network, decreasing rumination and anxiety. Philosophically, awareness allows intelligence to serve life rather than dominate it. Consider modern equivalents: tech founders, data scientists, strategy consultants. Many are brilliant but chronically dissatisfied. They see opportunities and risks simultaneously, often outpacing their ability to act without stress. Like Turing, intelligence becomes a double-edged sword. The difference emerges when awareness intervenes. Leaders who cultivate presence, reflection, and detachment use intelligence as a tool. They recognize their patterns without being enslaved by them. Decisions become clearer, stress diminishes, and happiness, once elusive, emerges organically. Psychologically, this is integration of superior function. Like Jung's individuation, the mind aligns with consciousness. Your intelligence is no longer a tyrant. It becomes an instrument for insight and service. Practical steps for integration. Daily reflective solitude. Observe your own thought patterns without judgment. Cognitive container practice. Recognize which insights belong to you and which are external stimuli. Shadow engagement. Acknowledge uncomfortable truths in yourself before projecting them outward. Conscious service. Channel insights into actions that benefit collective well-being, not just personal ego. The transformation is subtle yet profound. Intelligence stops destroying happiness when it is paired with awareness, detachment, and ethical application. The mind that once spiraled into despair now navigates complexity with composure. Turing's legacy illustrates both warning and potential. Unparalleled genius can overwhelm a life not structured for conscious observation. The 1% teach us that the gift of insight requires a disciplined awareness framework to prevent suffering. When you shift from compulsive analysis to observant awareness, brilliance becomes liberation. You see clearly without being consumed. You understand deeply without being trapped. And happiness, once elusive, becomes a natural byproduct of conscious mastery. If your mind notices everything, sees every pattern, understands what others miss, you are not broken. You are advanced. The challenge is not to diminish intelligence, but to expand awareness. This is the law the wisest 1% live by. You were born to see, to understand, to anticipate. But the world does not require your suffering. It requires your conscious brilliance. Master this law, and intelligence ceases to destroy happiness. It becomes the architect of a life fully awake. If this video helped you, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next video.